Hello, my name is Kelsey Wimberly, and I'm going to be showing off my custom UI editor, as well as some UI coding functionality in a custom-built game engine. I used ImGui for my custom UI editor, so we can just open this window up here, let's turn on edit mode, and go ahead and create a new UI element here. So we have some basic components here. First off, we can change the name to whatever we want. And we have our transform component here, just going to show off some basic functionality, move left and right, up and down. We also have a widget in the scene for easy movement, but if needed, we can turn that off. Next, we have scaling. We can scale either left, right, up, down. And if we're comfortable with the ratio of our scale, we can go ahead and lock that and adjust it with that ratio. I'm just going to go ahead and put this back to about a square here. And next we have anchor points. We've got 9 different anchor points to choose from. And these will lock our UI element into that specific area of the screen. And if we change our screen width and height, for example, we then can see that all of our UI elements keep their anchor points. For example, this one down here is locked to this bottom corner. So our anchor points work nicely for whatever scaling of the screen is needed. So I'll go ahead and switch back to my hello object here. Next, we've got our visual components. We've got rendering, so we can turn that on and off. We've got our texture file. I just passed in a list of texture files I want to be able to use. So we're going to go ahead and pull up Hello Viewer here. Next, we've got our color. We can open this swatch up and choose between a range of colors. We've got our transparency here. We can go between 0 and 1 to determine how transparent we want our UI element to be, and I'm going to get to sprite sheets and button scripts a little bit later. But for right now, go ahead and show off duplication as well. You can see our name adds the word duplicate here, and we have all the exact stats that our previous button had. And I'm going to go ahead and delete these now, and we're going to move on to showing off button scripts here. So first we've just got our standard button. I'm just going to go ahead and add that. Now it tells us all of our animation data here. We've got idle is none, but our on hover, we're going to move our selector over our button, and our on click animation is going to be fading. So now we have the ability to add various game objects into our enable and disable list. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these 4 elements right here, a couple of buttons as well as our selector. And we could add some disable things, but I'm not going to do that with this button. And then we've got our speed, our very standard speed here. So now, if we turn edit mode off, we can then click on our button here, and we can get all these buttons to show up. So I will now show off just adding that back to resume here. So now resume also has this active, and we're going to go ahead and add all of these UI elements that we added into our enable for our 1. We're going to add that to our disable for our resume button here. And then let's just go ahead and speed it up a bit just to show off that that works. Now we can turn off edit mode, and as you can see, it now works for our resume button as well. So if we click on resume, we get this really speedy fade out here. So let's go ahead and save that for the heck of it. And now let's move on to our 2. So our 2 is actually in a different source file here. So that's in our main menu button. As you can see, you can click on the various UI elements here in order to edit them, but they have to be in the source file that you're working with, otherwise it doesn't work. So now we've got our 2 here, let's go ahead and add our sliding buttons this time. So again, no idle animation, but our on hover animation is now growing, and our on click is going to be sliding. So we're going to go ahead and add all of these buttons in here. This is based on our main menu in the game that my team and I used this engine for. It's Monsoon, so if you want to play that game, the link is in the description for that. So, and then we've got a few other variables here. We've got hover speed, slide speed, and a delay between UI, but we're just going to leave that at 0 for right now. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the middle, because I know what is going to happen. So now, if I hover over the 2, you can see that it grows. And if I click on it, we get our menu to come sliding in here. So now, I've went ahead and added this to our start button. I've added all the buttons we see here into our disable list. And this time I've added a delay between UI here. We have a little bit of a delay. So now, if I click on this start button, you can see that all the buttons slide out one at a time, which is really nice. So now we're going to go ahead and get into sprite sheets. I believe, yeah, we have our car in here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn rendering on for that. And we're going to select a specific texture for this. We've got our car. This is a car used in another game engine project I worked on, Kartaclysm. That's also in the description. So here we're going to show off our sprite sheets. So you can see we've got our X offset and our Y offset as needed. I'm just going to go ahead and put these back to 0 for the moment. But then here we've got our width. Since you can see it's 5 Y as we approach 5. That looks about the right size for 1 unit here. And then our height, we don't have a vertical sprite sheet here, but if we did, we would be stretching this variable as well. So now you can see if I switch offset here, we now get our different car spreadsheets. So let's actually put this to use in a fun way. We can now have an idle animation with our script. We're going to be able to switch our sprite sheet cell here. And we're going to be able to do that as well with our on hover. So we can go ahead and add 4 of these in here and just start adding the different cells in. And again, we would do something with Y if we had a vertical sprite sheet, but we don't. And so now you can see we've got different idle time and hover time. We want our hover time to be a bit faster than our idle time. And I'm just going to speed this up a little bit just for simplicity's sake here. So now, if I hover over that with my mouse, it speeds up. Just going to go ahead and put this guy in the corner here a little bit more so he's more out of the way. And then shrink it back down. Oops. Fine, he's just going to sit over there because why not? And now I'm going to show off our final script here. So I'm going to go ahead and show off this. We've got a fun Splatoon reference here for anyone who's done Salmon Run. We're going to go ahead and turn this into a sprite sheet simply so that we can adjust our width here so that we have this little wave effect. And now I'm going to go and hover over water. So now this specifically, we have an animation here that we'll use a random value to determine what water level we want. And we'll activate this by pressing the spacebar specifically. So we want to affect our water here. So this pulls up all game objects in the scene. We've got our water game object. Beautiful shader created by my team's tech lead. And we've got our various speeds here that I'm comfortable with those. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just make this a nice watery blue. And then for the sake of the animation, I'm going to go ahead and set this to 0. And we're going to go ahead and save that. Might as well save our other main menu as well. And now I'm going to turn off edit mode here. And if I press space, we can see that that starts playing. That was level 1 that it's on. So now it switches to level 0. Our water's going to go down. So we have 3 different levels here. And this is reminiscent of Splatoon and its salmon run, how it switches between various water levels and the integration that it has with UI when it's doing that. So those are some of my UI features as well as my UI editor. And just to show off, we now have data in our JSON file. Every time we save, this gets added to each specific JSON file. So this is our pause menu here. And you can see that we've got our enable game objects, we've got our speed, we've got all these wonderful variables here that get saved straight to our JSON file whenever we're done with our UI editor. So, and if I load it back up, we'll see that everything is still there. Yeah, we've still got our water effect that we've added in. We've still got our fun spinning car there. And yeah, all of our button functions work. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.